Broad Street Sports, the best Philly sports podcast.
We are 2 days removed from the Eagles' unprepared, pathetic, disastrous loss to Tampa Bay. 2 days removed. I had more thoughts. I was able to look at a couple things, listen to a couple things, and really see everything and the way that everything transpired after the game. I have personally been saying for a long time, especially this season, that the Eagles need to get rid of Nick Sirianni, and this guy is a problem. The same thing with Jalen Hurts. But now after being 2 days removed, now looking at everything again, we have a serious problem with not only Sirianni, but Jalen Hurts, and then the both of them combined. And we're going to get into it. But there's a serious problem with both of them, and both of them combined. And I don't know how you could possibly be able to fix it, because we're I wouldn't say we're deep into the season, but we are at the point where it's hard and to get rid of your head coach in the middle of the season. Because if you think about it, I mean, this is basically the middle of the season. You're basically there. You know what I mean? So it would be very extremely difficult and weird and not look good for the team to just get rid of Nick Sirianni in the middle of the year. Now we can debate and talk about us and how Laurie and Howie should have gotten rid of him after the collapse last year during the offseason and gotten rid of him. That's fine. I agree with that. We could have debated that, right? We could have done that. But when you look at it for this year, it would not look good for this team, and it would be extremely difficult and bad if we would get rid of Sirianni. Now I don't know how much worse you could get than right now with Sirianni, but without Sirianni, you don't know where. I mean, this team could get worse. This team could get better, and it would look all around terrible for this team and this organization to just get rid of their head coach in the middle of the year. I'm all for it. I totally would be okay with it. But then again, you got to look at the business side. You got to look at what the media says. There's a lot of factors. But either way, I still just do not see Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie ultimately getting rid of Nick Sirianni. I actually don't. I really, really don't. It's like this offseason, this season, I don't see them getting rid of him. The offseason comes, they miss the playoffs, or they have a terrible record, whatever the case may be. Even that, he's fired. And I mean, if they continue to head down this path that they're heading, which is a long, dark path, they're going to get rid of him. But if they can somehow float above water, they can somehow float. They somehow can get in the playoff, get back in the playoff contention. They're going to keep him to finish out the year, and he'll be fired going into the offseason. But he's not going to be fired right here, right now. But he will be if we continue down this dark, dark path. Now, the thing is. Here's the thing. Now, ultimately, here's where I actually get really, really pissed with Nick Sirianni. Per Jeff McLean, Brandon Graham held a meeting after the loss to Tampa Bay. And this is the second time after a loss this year alone where Nick Sirianni did not speak to the team. After Nick Sirianni got the offensive play calling taken away from him, he can't sit in on any offensive meetings anymore. He has nothing to do with the defense, apparently. He has all of his coaching titles taken away from him. And his main job title was to speak to the team and be a leader and build a culture. But now, from what I'm hearing from the players themselves, he's not even doing that. He's not even doing the job that he was, quote-unquote, supposed to be doing. So after the loss to Atlanta, where that was even more pathetic than this game, loss to Tampa Bay, He didn't speak to the team. He had Jalen Hurts do it. Now he has a different player speaking to the team, and Brandon Graham, and Nick Sirianni did not speak to the team. So after a group of men lose in a tragic, pathetic way, their head coach is not going to speak to them. Their head coach isn't going to say anything. I mean, this is what I'm talking about with Nick Sirianni. Where is the leadership? This is the problem with him. Where's the leadership? He's not even doing the job that was given to him. I mean, what a disgrace. What a disgrace. So he's throwing all of these player meetings and speeches on the other guys, and he's not going to be the guy to speak to the team anymore. He's not going to do it. I mean, that is a serious, serious problem when you look at it from all the angles you want to look at it. That's a serious problem. Your head coach isn't going to speak to the team after they lose and they're unprepared and they sucked and they were trash and they got their friggin' ass handed to them. Their head coach isn't going to speak. Give me a break, man. Now, I mean, that's a disgrace. That is a utter disgrace from all angles. From all angles, that's a disgrace. You know what I mean? It's a problem. It's a problem, and he doesn't want to speak to the team. After your team gives up 254 total yards, and we actually have 0 yards for the first half, he's not going to speak to the team. Where in my head or your guys' head does that make any sense? The head coach not going to do his job. He's not going to speak to the team. What a disgrace. What a disgrace, man. He had Hurts do it week 2 after that loss to Atlanta, and he has Brandon Graham doing it now. What a joke. What a joke. This guy's a joke, dude. This guy's a joke. Oh, my God. So, another thing, right? So, as we're talking about building a culture with Sirianni and Sirianni doing his job, Sirianni has to keep these guys in check. He has to keep his guys in check. I thought it was a total disgrace that you had Devin White during the game tweeting and calling out good plays for the Tampa Bay defense while Jalen Hurts is waiting 10 seconds in the pocket to throw the ball. He can't find an open receiver. We're getting sacked. We're getting blitzed. It's terrible. Devin White is sitting there congratulating and hyping up his Tampa Bay guys. Then you have Mekhi Becton after the game. Mekhi Becton posted stuff on his story. You have Darius Slay tweeting and posting stuff about his personal accolades and the things he's done in his career. I mean, Darius Slay is soft. Darius Slay is supposed to be a leader of this team, and when he acts like that, he acts like a 5-year-old child. That's a problem with Darius Slay. He wants to act like a child at all times. You know what I mean? He's tweeting and saying, "Oh, well, Philly fans want to attack me when I'm doing bad. Why they got to remember when the stuff I do good." That's a 5-year-old childish remark. Then you have C.J. Gardner-Johnson. After all that talk he said in that locker room after they barely beat New Orleans, and he says, he showed up and played like trash against Tampa Bay. He showed up and played like absolute dog shit, and so he has no room to talk. All of these guys that are just tweeting at all times, tweeting. They're not being held accountable. They should not be able to tweet and just go after fans and say and be childish. I mean, that all goes back to Sirianni. That all of that stuff that I just said with Devin White, Mekhi Becton, Darius Slay, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, it all goes back to what their head coach does and says. Your team is a resemblance of your head coach, and you have guys acting childish and like 5-year-olds. They're acting like the head coach, man. They're acting like the head coach, and it's a disgrace. It's a total, utter disgrace to watch this team. And it really is. I mean, they're acting like 5-year-olds from all angles, man. I mean, you can't have that. You're trying to build a culture. You're trying to win a Super Bowl. You're trying to figure out what the hell is wrong with this team. And your guys, the guys that are starters and big assets for you, a guy that isn't even friggin' playing, hasn't played a friggin' single snap the entire year is going to chirp like that? What a disgrace. What a disgrace. Right? Okay? I mean, it's really, really bad. It's really, really bad. Okay? So then, Jalen Hurts, right? Jalen Hurts has sucked. Jalen Hurts has regressed. And Jalen Hurts coming in, we were all lied to, and I said this before. We were all lied to by Elliott Shore-Parks, by all the Eagles reporters, by Eagles coaches and management, all saying that Jalen Hurts looks really, really good. He's back to his 2022 self. This, and then this. Right? I just don't get it. How do you come into this year after the disastrous year you had last year and the disastrous collapse you had last year? How do you come into this year worse than you did at the end of last year? Jalen Hurts was supposed to progress and get better. He actually got worse, and it looks really, really, really bad. This guy is a turnover machine. This guy's a total turnover machine, and it doesn't look like it's getting any better. It doesn't look like he's figuring things out. That's a serious problem. You want to talk about Nick Sirianni all you want and the problems we have with Sirianni, but we have a serious quarterback problem. And not a lot of people are touching on it. A lot of people are giving Jalen Hurts a pass. But why? Why? You have to look at this from all different angles that you possibly can. You can put a lot of blame on Nick Sirianni. But, I mean, Jalen Hurts is he is a big part of the equation of the problem as well. So here's the main point I want to say. So, obviously, Sirianni deserves a lot of the blame. But you can't blame it all on him, because when you go 3-8 in your last 11 games and your quarterback becomes a turnover machine, you're just giving the ball right back to the other team, and he has 9 interceptions and 8 fumbles, that doesn't have a lot to do with Nick Sirianni. Now, Nick Sirianni deserves a lot of the blame, and you can attack him all you want. But you have to start looking at Jalen Hurts, because Jalen Hurts is part of the equation and part of the problem. You could easily replace Nick Sirianni and find a different coach in this year or the offseason. But it's going to be somewhat hard to replace a guy that you're paying $255 million and who's supposed to be your franchise quarterback. This guy, we have a serious quarterback problem. Not only do we have a coaching problem, but we have a serious quarterback problem. And you can't put all the blame on Nick Sirianni, because he can't control what Jalen Hurts does out there. Jalen Hurts is awful out there. And you know what, man? You just can't put all of that blame on Nick Sirianni. I mean, you just can't do it. We are literally we are the second worst team with turnovers, right behind the Tennessee Titans. Literally right behind the Tennessee Titans. So, I mean, any way you look at it, the turnovers are a problem. Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts deserve a lot of the blame. It's a serious problem. All right? And here's another thing I want to touch on with them too. We prepared, the Eagles offense prepared for a game without A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. You prepared for it. So for Jalen Hurts to come out and look as clueless and as trashy as he did, that's a serious problem. So if your quarterback can't play without A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, then your quarterback has a serious problem. Now, mind you, Jalen Hurts has a serious problem either way, with or without them two. So, I mean, but when you practice and you prepare for a game without your two best receivers, and he plays the way that he did, that's a problem. Especially when he has Saquon Barkley. Especially when he has Dallas Goedert, who's a top 5 tight end when he's used correctly. Especially when you have Jahan Dotson, who we used and we picked up for situations exactly like this. He prepared for this. So for him to play as flat and as bad as he did without them two, this team has a serious problem, and it's a quarterback problem. It is all in all a quarterback problem. So every way I look at it, this team, the way I look at this, we can't. I don't think that Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman can look at this team and say, yeah, this team's going to win a Super Bowl. This head coach is going to win a Super Bowl. I don't think so. But again, I don't think that you can just get rid of him in the middle of the year. I don't think that would look good. I don't think that they're going to do it as much as I hope and I wish they would. I don't think they will. I think they're going to either wait for us to have a full collapse and be trashed, or they're going to wait for the offseason. And I don't know. But I think you have to really look at it and say that we have a serious quarterback problem. We have a serious coaching problem, and the disconnect, right? We all talked about during the summer and after the collapse last year that Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, their relationship was rocky. Their relationship was not good. It was not stable. And coming into this year, we were all assured and all told that everything was fixed, everything was better. This whole situation this year is proving to me that it's not fixed, and that the situation in the relationship is actually a lot worse than we actually thought it was. The situation between them, they're not talking to each other, especially apparently they're not really talking things over. You know, it's a disgrace. You have your head coach not speaking to the team. It's a whole thing with them two. You have to really look at it and say that their relationship is not better. The relationship has actually gotten worse. The egos are colliding, and that's really where you're at, and that's where teams go downhill. And right now, you have to look at it. The team is going downhill. You have to look at it from Sirianni. You got to look at it from Hurts. They're both terrible. They're both clueless. And this team is really going to be hurt with them two guys. They're going to be hurt, man, and that's where we're at. But thank you all for tuning in to this day after. More thoughts on the Eagles versus Buccaneers game. I appreciate and love all the support. I love all yous. Thank you so much. Have a good night.